Insinyur Dr. Maa to the stage. Insinyur Dr. Maa is the Deputy Director General of MARA with extensive experience in technical education, leadership, and Tvet training. Throughout his career, he has held various strategic positions, including leading MARA skills and technical division. He has also been actively involved in policy formulation through platforms such as the National Tvet Council and the Engineering Technology Accreditation Council, ETAC. His leadership focuses on strengthening the Tvet ecosystem, fostering industry collaboration, and developing a highly skilled workforce that is competitive at the global level. And he is also a proud alumni of UniKL. Kindly welcome him with a round of applause. Next, may I invite Mr. Gregors Raymond to the stage. Mr. Gregor Raymond is the Managing Director of IEN Consultants Sdn Bhd, an award-winning environmental and green building consultancy in Malaysia, specializing in energy-efficient, low-carbon, and high-performance building design. He has led the delivery of several landmark sustainable projects, including the Green Tech Malaysia building, one of the country's first zero energy offices, the SD Diamond Building ASEAN Energy Award winner, and the internationally recognized Pyramid Factory in the Forest, a multi-award winning biophilic industrial facility. Let us welcome him with a warm round of applause. And now, we invite Mr. Michele Dossi to the stage. Mr. Michele Dossi is the Chief Executive Officer of FASI Asia Pacific Sdn Bhd, representing the FASI Group, a global leader in articulated truck-mounted cranes and advanced lifting equipment. He also serves as the President of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Malaysia, Italcam Malaysia, where he plays an active role in strengthening bilateral industry collaboration and business networks between Italy and Malaysia. With extensive experience in the heavy equipment sector, he is also involved in advancing industry practices and workforce readiness, particularly in areas such as the lifting operation, safety standards, and equipment maintenance. Let us welcome him with a warm round of applause. Before I hand over the session, just a quick reminder to all participants, our poll is still open. If you have not done so, please scan the QR code and select one option. We will revisit the results at the end of the session. The same QR code can also be used to submit your questions to the panelists throughout the forum. With that, I would like to invite Professor Insinyur Dr. Azmi Hassan to take over as the moderator. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Razali, for setting the tone so well for this forum. So as we move to the third session for this afternoon, the Forum Pendidikan 60 Tahun MARA, the Tvet at MARA towards the development of highly skilled human capital. That will be our theme and also the title for this afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate 60 years of MARA, we are not only reflecting of a proud legacy, but also reaffirm powerful missions, which is to uplift the rural communities and transform life. So in the heart of this transformation, of course, from our perspective is Tvet. Not merely as an alternative pathway in terms of educations, but as a true game changer. So in many ways, this Tvet has become the bridge between potential and also the opportunity, especially for those from rural and underserved communities, enabling them, to contribute to the nation growth or the human capital development and, of course, the future economy. So this forum will strengthen in terms of the Tvet at Mara ecosystems. So with the emphasis on the role of course, University of Kuala Lumpur as the key leader in driving these Tvet transformations. So when we talk about Tvet, it is often associated with low wages, limited career progressions. These perceptions has been persisted for quite some time in our nations. But the real question, probably we'll discuss this one in this forum, how do we change this trajectory? So how do we shift the future of Tvet in Malaysia or even in the global level? So of course, I asked the question, but I will give the answer or some tips to the speakers after this. Of course, the answer towards this, of course, we talk about the high growth and also high values. So this HG, we call it HG, and also HV sectors will drive the economy in terms of job creations, in terms of demands, and of course, at the same time, this demand require ready skills. We need, advanced skills. For example, the advanced manufacturing. We talk about the artificial intelligence. We talk about the digital technology, aerospace, and also probably, of course, we have our special guest today. We'll talk about the green energy. So therefore, it is aligned with the concept of skills as the new currency, as the core principles. So this forum will highlight the importance of skills as the key driver and the innovations for the technology and also the economy. So in this case, I myself, Azmi Hassan, representing the University of Kuala Lumpur, I'm truly honored. Thank you very much, Mr. MC, and also the organizer, to moderate these discussions. So I'll take this opportunity to engage directly, of course, with the key leaders in Mara and also the value industry practitioner and also expert in industry. So at UDKL, we see the Tvet as the important tools, as the tool for the education. But we also see this one as not only a tool, but also part of the national strategy for us. So that can drive the innovations, to strengthen the industry, competitiveness, and also uplift the society at large. So to get this discussion started, I will put some of the questions to the panels. To all the panels, I will maybe put some of the new questions. First, in strengthening the Tvet at Mara ecosystems, how effective is the current model in developing the high-skill human capital aligned with the need of high growth and also the high value, or we call it the HG, HV industries? So I will invite Dr. Mahazan to give from your perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Azmi, and our panel colleagues. Alhamdulillah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and salam 60 tahun Mara. So today we are having a big events auspicious event that find this we are having very good moments that we want to celebrate 60 years of Mara. But the thing is, the 60 years of Mara, we cannot be memorial bags. So how we want to perform, how we want to create good performance and a strategic way forward for our 40 years, and maybe for Mara to sustain, to uphold the standard of our Bumi Putra. So back to the question of the Tvet, especially on the high growth, high value. So we can define that this actually high growth, high value have defined in Putra, Plan Transformasi Bumi Putra 2035, that we are upholding the standard of the high growth, high value. But when we define the high growth, high value, we need to define the strategic development, strategic economic that we want to have in our current system. Now you can see that in Mara ecosystem, especially in Mara Tvet or education, Mara framework, we have 345 of our institutions. Out of that, 270 institutions is more, very much more concentrate on the Tvet from Giat Mara, from Tvet Mara. Now we transform from previously. Before that, we call IKM, KKTM, and also Mara Japan Industrial Institute. So now, in the transformation of Mara to be more driven by industry, we transform to Tvet Mara. And the articulation beyond that is apex of University Kuala Lumpur doing the degree program. So with 270, we can see that the current model of high human skill capital development that we want to produce in our system is we need to have a well-structured in ecosystem. So we can see that 270, so what we did doing right now, and also the 40 years. The model now is highly effective. You can see that based on we want to develop industry-ready talents. We don't want to produce the graduate-ready, but we want to produce industry ready for our human capital. That's why we in Mara, in Tvet Mara especially, we need to create a special program like we did right now. We have some of our program in our Tvet. We have a diploma techno-usahawan. It's very specialized to produce very much on the entrepreneur. That's why we mentioned that we are not CGPA based on the excellent academic. We characterize this entrepreneurship to be as a driven more on CGPA towards that revenue and sale. That is a CGPA because we want to outcome, we want to produce the entrepreneur. And then we produce the diploma specialized on the industry. So we are working with industry right now. So we did we mapping and we structured the methodology of the curriculum based on the industry driven. So we have a diploma in competency. So right now we we are discussing right now with Mr. Our panelists that the most important thing in our part is not really on the paper, but the more important thing is when we want to produce a student, we want to produce a technical, we want to produce a technology. The most important thing that drive by industry driven is the technicality of the student. So we want to produce a very competent student and very professionalized student. So this is the thing that we want to chart out of our mapping in our curriculum. We want to structuralize all the curriculum in Tvet Mara. So all these things we cannot do by ourselves. Even though we are professor, we are competent in doing the mapping or structured developing a curriculum, but the most important thing, the crucial thing that we need to have a industry partner to engage with us and bring the technology and also the skill set of our curriculum. And then this we can see that when we did all these things in our Tvet Mara and also Tvet all the ecosystem, reinforce that strong employability, equal strong market alignment at a baseline level. So we can see that I'm proud to say that nowadays we can have employability above more than 98% of our Tvet Mara level. So this achievement is not, because it's a very strong requirement, strong backline, backup from the industry, and also our lecturer, which is hyper industry driven. So that's why all these things, when we go to the high growth industry, high value industry, the most important parts of our curriculum in our Tvet Mara is we want to have a very much on the driven industry by all the program, modular or syllabus. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Raymond. Maybe you can share from your perspective from Denmark also. Yes, okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm originally from Denmark, but I've lived and worked in Malaysia for the last 21 years as a sustainable building consultant. And I've had the pleasure to work quite a lot with UniKL, both to do sort of a joint master's program with Rosenheim University in Germany and UniKL, and also to be the energy consultant or sort of concept consultant for the new building for UniKL at the campus up in Gombak at the British Malaysian Institute. The UniKL Sustainable Energy Living Lab, which is just about to open, we believe, by July or August of this year. And the whole concept of that building is actually to make this living lab, which means it's a building that's used for teaching for UniKL, but it's also inviting in industry. So we have 5 completely identical rooms that are the teaching labs, and here industry is invited in to install their building systems. So it can be different facade systems to bring in, let's say, daylight or insulate in a certain way, or blind systems or cooling systems, you name it. And these systems can be installed in the semester breaks. So and then they provide a great research avenue for the students and staff at UniKL to actually test how do these systems work that comes from industry. And it can be a great feedback to the industry as well, that certain systems are not working properly, so they have to go back and improve the system with the help from the students potentially. So I think this more sort of hands-on university industry collaboration is quite useful, because that also means the students are in touch with what's needed out there. So I think we need much more of that in Malaysia. And I look forward to seeing all the research projects and the industry collaboration that's coming out of this building that's about to be opened. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Dosi, maybe we can comment on this high value, high growth, high value industries from your perspective coming from Italy.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Congratulations for the 60 years of Mara first. And thanks, yes. And I want to thank everyone here and the Mara organization to give me the opportunity and the honor to introduce our strong collaboration with UniKL in our factory in Ilai. We opened just a few months ago a teaching factory. I will explain later in the next question what is based on this teaching factory, but mostly to reply to your first question, I want to say that our group in general, worldwide, we are very focused on the human resources. The exchange of the knowledge. The exchange of the human knowledge is one of the first value we try to invest in our procedures, in R&D department, in the processing of production. And let me say that to push on the human resource and to exchange the integrated knowledge of the human resources is one of our focus. And of course, in this moment, in this time in which the AI, is the extraordinary technology, okay, that it seems that can avoid some human perspective, okay, is extraordinary technology that can replace the operation, the human operation, very fast, but with zero intelligence. Zero intelligence. Don't have intelligence. Something intelligent cannot be artificial. Something artificial cannot be intelligent. Okay. So, if you leave, and the teaching factory is an example. I say to Professor Asman that we discussed with her for 1 year about this, but thanks to everyone for because we are honored to have this teaching factory in our factory. We feel and we live every day uncertainties in our procedure of production. And whenever theory is very interesting, but theory and practical, when they meet every day, starting from the student onwards, and also in our experienced technician, we face a lot of problem. We need to improve our skill in problem solving. Every 5 minutes we have some problem in operation. And for the student and for the academy to touch every day this problematic question is coming during the processing of the production, I think is a very successful model, and that's Mara ecosystem that is going to develop here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We go to the second question, second round. Yeah. Normally when we talk about currency, we use the terms RM, Ringgit Malaysia. We use the term US dollar. But lately we talk about the petrol dollar. Yeah. But now we talk about the skills is the dollar, yeah, or the skill, basically the currency. So maybe we can use this one skill as the new currency, as our maybe new guiding principles. So probably I will put up some questions, maybe to Dr. Mahzan or Mr. Raiman first, or Mr. Dozy. You can decide which one is, how we could evolve from the training provider, for example, like we have Tvet Mara, we have IKM, we have UniKL as the training provider, into a strategic driver of an innovations and technology-led economy. Over to you, sir.
So, first and foremost, when we discuss about the skill as a currency, we need to really understand, define much more on what is the skill as currency. We are talking about RM, dollar. We're talking about current exchange in our, how we want to relate, how we want to respond and rest within the ecosystem of the skill as currency. So, definition of skill as currency is mooted by our Deputy Prime Minister, I think last year, in a forum, in the Asian forums, that brings more values on our skill. So that's why we define every company, every institution that define what is skill of currency. So in Mara, we look on the longer, based on the skill is not just a qualification. They are economic assets with real market value. So we can see that current exchange, the high value of the exchange of the RM, dollars. So the measure by the ability to drive the productivity, innovation, and income generations. So these skills need to be more driven by the three factors. And then, like currency, the worth of the currency we can see determined by the demand side. And so relevancy of the curriculum of the industry, and also application in high impact driven by the sector. And the advanced competency, like we can see the AI, automation, mentioned by our panelists, a semiconductor, and then a green technology, ESG. Right now, we can see that not just a skill, but they are tradable values unique in terms of the skill sector. So that's how we want to have a very high growth, high value prop, to be more driven, more tradable in terms of when we produce a student that have a skill in advance to the competency, and this coming employer and also these future employees will be tradable to the industry based on the demand side. And then this value also, we need to have more command in high wages. Not only I can say, and you a big round of applause for me, a big hand for me, that we can have employability 98%. But the most important thing that we need to identify, deep dive on the value of the wages of our student, the employability, the skill set of our student, how the industry applied, how industry accept our student when they do the job. And also the enable, our student also have enable them to mobility across border, from the local to the global, and also directly contribute to the national competitiveness. And to realize this, I hope that Tvet Mara must evolve from the training provider into skill capital engine for the innovation lead economy. We are not producing a skilled workers per se, but we need to have very innovation. That's why in our system, I always mention that we need to have our student in question with it RISE, R-I-S-E. Religious, the more important thing, you have hands-on, you have the mind on. The most important is his heart on. So this is driven by the trustworthiness, the integrity of our student, and heart on is more important for our product. So the very holistic product. And then we require a device, decisive shift for our government also and our Mara, Tvet Mara, our education Mara, to be a consumer country, to be a producer and innovation-driven nation. So one that not only for the technology, but creates, manufacture, and export high-value product for solution. So this is the characteristic of our student that we need to produce in 40 years. So we cannot have use the technology, but we need to have a student. We have a MRSM student, cream of the cream of the cream of the cream of our student, and we put in our system. And when we have a very high impact of University Kuala Lumpur, so I think we believe that this student, we can create a more agile, more innovative, more creative student to produce to be a consumer product. We cannot be, we do the R&D product, we do the innovative, but at the end, we put in our store for a while. So this is the curriculum that we have, we need to have in our system and drive by all the industry, and to create the holistic student that we have in kind of the integrity and also the holistic of the that I mentioned, the RISE, religious number one. Second is the innovative and the skill, and number three, and entrepreneurship value that instill in our student. Thank you.
Thank you. So back to Mr. Raymond as the green building consultants, probably from your perspective about this skill as a currency. Of course, you can, of course, a carbon credit will be, very direct, the way actually we can generate the economy and also create the current money and so on. Maybe your comment on this?
Yeah, definitely the value of getting any education is that once you get out of the university or out of the training institution, the skills you have are actually sought after by the society. So I think as a general comment, yeah, just Mara and Unicare and so on needs to make sure to basically have that strong partnership with industry to really keep the finger on the pulse to understand what's needed out there. Specifically in my field of green technology and energy efficiency, this is exactly the kind of collaboration we've had with UNIKL, where we engaged with them and basically we had this conversation and we said, why don't we, for your next educational building, let's make it into a showcase for what will be, where there will be a demand for energy efficient and sustainable technology solutions for buildings. And also let's put a lot of solar technology in this building and battery storage, because this is the way the society is moving. So actually this building is built to be so efficient that it will actually produce twice as much energy from the solar panels as it consumes. So this building is a small power plant and can actually power the building next to it. And of course right now, we just discussed it over lunch with Kushairi here on the front row. Now we are in the middle of an energy crisis. Energy subsidies might not last forever in Malaysia, and you might see a doubling of your energy prices. And so wouldn't it be great to have these kind of buildings that are actually not only zero energy, but work as a small power plant, so it can actually generate money for you. So I think the timing is good for this project, and it's also an inspiration for the students to actually get to work sort of hands-on with this kind of building, and to learn from test out this technology that we have put in the building for efficiency and energy storage and so on.
Thank you. Thank you. Michele Dozzi, as the CEO of, I can say this is a Ferrari of forklift. Yeah, in Italy, we know everybody loves Ferrari. So, but we talk about the forklift, they are basically the Ferrari manufacturer for forklift. Yeah, or sometimes people call it the Ferrari, how do we say it? Anyway, so, but your skill set, especially in this context, of course, welding and so on, this will be very important in terms of the quality, the skill set actually we have, for the students, to be trained on this skill set for welding. This is quite important. Maybe you have some comment from,
Yeah,
skill
sure.
as the currency. Yes, over to you, Mr. Dozzi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Ferrari of the crane, because our color of the crane is red, like Ferrari. So basically, they call us Ferrari of the crane. No, anyway, I want just to give my industry meaning side. I agreed with the skill as a currency, because whenever we value a company, a company is made by people, is not made by any other asset, but the skill of the people. When we invest in one company, mostly is for the untouchable asset. We call untouchable asset, It means for the know-how. Okay? So the know-how of the people is what we are interested in, because to build a know-how, you take really a lot of time, many years, and is one of the value that give us the opportunity to be interested in one investment or in one relationship or in one partnership or business partnership or something like that. So let me say that in this moment in which the technology, they change very fast every time, okay? To have the possibility, to have the skill to put in practice this technology, okay? You can be winner. You can be winner compared to your competitors in the market. Is the biggest value you can have in one industry, in any companies, basically. So we need to really to support the student, okay, to treat skill as currency as their main value, and they need to become expert, and they can help business to grow and to be innovative, basically. So is one of the mainstream for our industry, or for any industry, of course. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Dozzi. I will go with, if you are okay, I will go one more round Is that okay? What about from the floor? Is it okay for us to go and continue? All right, okay, good. Let me put one more question. This is a bit more challenging. What are basically the challenges or probably some opportunities in developing talent in this high growth and high value sector? And probably what are basically the strategic shift that we require for Tvet institutions to remain competitive? Maybe I'll start with Dr. Mahazan first.
Okay, for these key challenges and opportunities, we can look on our ecosystem, MARA especially. So, as I mentioned that we have produced the biggest and very huge human capital development, especially on the talent, on the skill set, on the Tvet, and also for the higher education and professional. So, one of the key challenges in developing talent of SGSV, but I don't know, maybe when we talk about SGSV, high growth, high value, do we really know what is a high growth, high value that mentioned by our Putra 35? So this is actually the definition and then the structured sector, industrial sector that we want to explore during, in the way, the long journey of 2035, which is high growth, high value of E&E, rare earth technology, and also we have aerospace and defense, military, and we want to explore more on the high value of the AI, digital technology. So this is a high growth, high value that we want to explore and we want to embed in our curriculum. And then there is also a pressing needs shift of our traditional technical training towards developing high order thinking skill. So what we embed in our curriculum now is not only we want to have a very excellent student, but we want to have a very creative, innovative student that they have a higher order thinking skill. And then a critical and digital fluency that we have now, right now, we have a digital, AI, automation, all is related to the digital technology. So those students, we want to produce, we need to very fluency in terms of IT. And also, when Prof mentioned that the gaps, I want to say that the gap in deep industry, we can see that very integration between our system and the limited exposure in real and R&D environment. And the second is unclear progression pathway. So this is we need to overcome and resolve within our ecosystem with industry. And then we produce from the technician to technology, from the technologies to the engineer, and so on. And this level continues to constrain the development of higher value talent required by the SGSV technologies. However, this opportunity, I think, we can have in our current system, our ecosystem of MARA. And then with the extensive system of ecosystem, we can develop, we can drive, we can have a solid foundation to drive the transformation at a very, very large scale. And then we need to have a very strengthening engagement with the industry, engagement from collaboration to co-creation, enhancing digital and very flexible learning approach to support continuous upskilling and implementing structured qualification pathway, such as what we want to have in our next future. For maybe 2 or 3 years, we want to have a Tvet MARA qualification framework. This is our own education system that we can produce. Tvet MARA, actually, we want to produce because we have very extensive system that I mentioned. We have from MARA Junior Science School and MARA Secondary School. We have a Tvet pathway, and also we have higher education and also professional. So the whole ecosystem, actually, we can create a very sustainable and also very extensive system in our education system. So I believe that with all these experts and also our lecturer and our staff, I think we can make it, we can have our Tvet MARA education framework to be more driven by the industry, insyaAllah.
Thank you, Dr. Mahazan, for very encouraging comments. Mr. Rahman, any comments on this? Any challenges and opportunity in developing these talents for high growth and high values?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in the gaps, but I think also based on what we talked about over lunch is that maybe the Tvet program has an image problem in terms of not leading to high income jobs and so on. And I think that's a shame. And as we discussed among the panelists, I mean, both of us are from Europe, and it's basically difficult to get skilled workers. So if you know if you're a good plumber, a good welder, you will earn a very good salary. So it might not be the case yet in Malaysia, but I think that's a message that has to go out there and be branded in the right way. And then maybe the other challenge is to have this on-the-job training and be able to place all the students to really get a sort of hands-on experience.
Okay, Mr. Dosi? Of course, many challenges to get the skills, of course, yeah.
No.
But of course, when it comes to the money side, I think I'm quite sure everybody will come and choose this Tvet education anyway. Yeah, please comment.
Yes. No, let me say just an example. The project we have done, like a teaching factory, is a project based on this, because we are expert in our product, of course, in our procedure of the welding. That is the most important part of our production, of course. But it's not that this matching is just only to offer to the student to touch, to hands-on, the practice of this, and we teach how to solve the problem, how to follow this. Is also exchange of knowledge. Is exchange of knowledge because whatever is our commitment with the university and with the students, okay, in all these new technologies changes very fast. We need to match always more and more, and to cooperate, collaboration, more and more collaboration with the university, because also in this exchange of theory and practice, we can find some intuition. The intuition is coming sometimes from somebody that is not expert. I remember some years ago, I put on the table of my R&D department, I have very senior in Italy, engineering in R&D department, one problem. Okay, I don't describe now because we don't have the time, no? And they said to me, Michele, no, you cannot solve. Impossible. So basically, I take some student graduating in University in Milan. I call in my factory, and I put on the table the same problem. They say, we try. You know why they say we try? Because they don't know that it was impossible, no? So basically, but sometimes they come out with some ideas that give us the opportunity to reach the goal in another maybe way, of course, but to reach the goal. So we really believe that the challenges is really to develop this matching between industry and university in any sectors, of course, not only for our sector. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, I have now maybe specific question to Dr. Mahazan now. Yeah, being as the Deputy Director General for MARA, actually I have one question. He already answered much earlier in terms of probably he can elaborate more in terms of I've talked about the adaptability in terms of the digital fluency, problem solving. Of course, he already mentioned about RISE, and he already elaborate more on this. Even at UNIKL also, we do have a similar, a skill set. We call it GHOCS. Now we transform to GHOC Plus. Actually, we merge all these skill set to becomes one. Yeah, RISE. But I move to another question to Dr. Mahazan. But this question is unfair to him, being as the alumni UNIKL. But I still have to, because I've got this question from the organizer. I need to ask him. As UNIKL takes on the role as a Pusat Apex Tvet MARA, how is it driving the transformation of Tvet, towards a more industry-driven and innovation-based education model. To somehow, I did remember, I think probably Dr. Mahzan somehow did his research on the similar area. Yeah, so probably he can elaborate more on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof.
It's not Viva, Dr. Mahzan.
Like Viva, like challenge. This is really the very challenging for our education system, especially for Mara. If we want to develop a very niche in our education system, we need to have a divert from the nomenclature education system, especially on Tibet. Because if you think that we have the right way of the Tibet, right agency, right structure, right government, we cannot go far. If we doing Tibet ecosystem in a Tibet ecosystem. Tibet ecosystem, we need to produce a very energetic, agility, and also dynamic way of the structured curriculum, and to produce the different students for the industry. So for me, the most important part, because UNIKL is the apex of our Tibet Mara, Tibet education, Tibet streamline pillar for Mara education pillar. And then we can see that we are very much rely on the UNIKL to sustain, to be support for our Giat Mara student, Tibet Mara, GMI, and also the rest of the institution in Mara. So what we want to have, what we want to see in future, or if the UNIKL want to be a Tibet. UNIKL is you can see that driving a radical shift in Tibet, and also in the future that in streamline with our way forward for 40 years. Maybe I hope that we can materialize our education system to be a care center. Care meaning that center accreditation and recognition excellent for the industry, and also for those that we having in the programs, diploma program, degree program, competency program or professional program. So UNIKL is the pillar and is a center of accreditation and recognition for our system, for our Tibet Mara system. This is number one. So how we want to go about that? So this actually is a center of recognition, and we want to develop our own, Mara develop our own occupational skill standard. So meaning that we have a lot of collaboration with industry. We have a very much on the skill standard bringing in by the industry. So that skill set, that occupational skill standard that set by industry, this is our occupational skill standard and our structuralized of the module or curriculum of our Tibet Mara. And the integration of 4.0, environment, smart laboratories, digital twins, and simulation platform that have in UNIKL, cyber physical system ensure that learning is fully embedded, real, industry connection, not simulated classroom only. And APEC Tibet Mara is defined as the highest tier of excellence within the Tibet Mara ecosystem that I mentioned. And we need to have advanced skill development, industrial certification, professional certification, innovation, and applied research that very much on the, not only for the research, but the industrial research for the industry, and serving as a national reference point for industry-aligned education. And we can see that currently we have having a very niche program with, like I mentioned, BMI. This is for instance, BMI program. We have a electrical program in Tibet Mara. We are doing 3 years. And we mapping the curriculum of the Tibet Mara. Tibet Mara, we are diploma program with Chashman or Wireman. And what happened is we articulate this program to be to put in the degree program in UNIKL BMI with degree program plus F4, meaning that our student is more driven by industry, more driven by the professional and competency. They can get diploma plus judgment and wire band, and then extend to the degree program with professional electrical with higher electrical competency. So this is a very niche program that having in UNIKL. So we can do a lot of kind of the method or methodology of our syllabus in our curriculum that produce a very highly competent workforce, a global competent workforce. And let's say the BMI is a consultant by our panel. So maybe this is we need to have a very niche also on the ESG. Now everybody talk about ESG and everywhere. And then I think nobody knows how we want to embed the ESG program in our curriculum. How we want to produce the excellent student, a professional student can talk and then practice of the ESG. So this is kind that we need to think about how we want to produce, how we want to develop a structured curriculum that to be as an effect of our institution, of our technology, must be driven by all these things. And also we need to produce a very, like I mentioned before, we need to have a very rice DNA characteristic of our student, Mara student. You know, religious number one, innovations, and then come to skill and the value of entrepreneur. So this is, I think, we can produce a very holistic with our student and different from the best of our university and also outcome of our student. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahazan, for laying out some of the rules of UNIKL, and at the same time, of course, the strategies he described. So some of the things now, just matter of the role, the strategy, and at the end of the day, at universities, we have to go and implement it. This is basically our commitment. So I'll go to Mr. Raiman. From the international perspective, what are basically the key success factor or the CSF in building this industry-aligned Tvet ecosystems? Maybe you can comment on this, the success factor in order to make sure that we can go above.
Yeah, I think that the connection to industry, what they really need, is very important, and not least for Malaysia, where there's a lot of manufacturing and a sector that's growing. And also maybe to have that link with industry, it's important that you set up these partnerships with industry. Maybe you have some industry advisory boards to advise universities what's relevant to teach the students, and also maybe that the students get some kind of industry recognized certifications or skills as part of their educational journey. At my company here in Malaysia, we have a fair amount of French interns, and that's because engineering students in France need about 2 or 3 internship placements. So actually a considerable amount of their education is to be placed out in companies around the world, because they also have to know English at a certain level, so that's why they're quite keen to come to Malaysia. So I think that's maybe not such a bad idea. I mean, certainly for myself, when I was a student, I was quite happy to have that contact to the real world, to also just get affirmation that what I was learning could also be used. And I think also, speaking of English skills, that's also something that Malaysia really has going for it. So the level of English makes it easy in a globalized world, for companies to set up factory here. So that's some of the...
Okay, thank you. I move on to Mr. Doze. Of course, we have mentioned briefly about the initiative, the collaboration between FASI with the UNIKL Malaysia France Institute. I can see the Dean MFI somewhere. Yeah, okay, all right, Dr. Badali. Through our, of course, these teaching models, Basically, in this case, of course, he did mention about you can enable our students to learn the real industry setting. Probably, Mr. Doze, this is basically one of the initiative. I will want to, maybe from your perspective, how can, this model we can scale up across a wider Tvet at Mara ecosystem in order to strengthen this talent pipeline for this high growth, high value. Any comment? Yes. I'm quite sure that we can go further than Unicel and MFI. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, Dr. Bali. All right. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question. So basically, in the teaching factory, okay, we open in collaboration with UNIKL, was an initiative with a specific goal, okay, so to bridge, basically to bridge the gap between academic training and operational skill required by industry, most of this. So those days we have developed one environment for the welding, of course, in which student, university faculty, my technician together, they work together on real world welding processes, so very specialized on the welding processes. So this, let me say, this benefit, okay, talking about our case, our specific sectors, basically, these benefits have been tangible in multiple levels, okay. For the student is end-on learnings, export to the real world industrial processes, development of technical and problem-solving skill. For our company, of course, is access to the new ideas, greater integration with the university, and development of the future skill as well. And for the university is the strengthening its role as an hub for applied innovation. The result, very synthetic, no, can be, let me say, just a living laboratory in which theory and practice meet, basically. That is very expandable. Of course, very expandable because let me say, is a laboratory that can work on the business development. That's the question. So what we do is all focus on the business development. And there is also a strategic impact on the business development. So developing market-ready talent, accelerating innovation in the companies, strengthening the structural link between university and industry. So it's not only about teaching, no? It's a building on an ecosystem. That's a building of an ecosystem. There is many possibility to extend it in some other sectors like logistics and supply chain, production and assembly, quality and control, data analytics and automation systems. So the same concept can be really very expandable between industries, on companies and universities. So for us first, we are very excited when in our company we see all the students go around in our facilities, but in any case, the main stream is business development.
Okay, all right. Thank you. The distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, we come almost to the end. We can continue discussing about this Tvet skills. Of course, at the end of the day, we talk about the currency, how actually we can trade this skill as a currency. We can continue discuss about this anyway. So, since that we have very limited time, yeah. So on this note, I will now hand over to our Dr. Razali as the MC for this afternoon to proceed with maybe a few more discussions on the poll. He will display the polls later on. Yeah. So with that, my sincere appreciations to all distinguished speakers for sharing your insight, your valuable insight, and also your perspective with us today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then I'll pass back to Dr. Razali.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Azmi, for an insightful and engaging moderation. And thank you to all distinguished panelists for the enriching discussion. For me personally, I have three uh, takeaways. Okay, the key takeaways from our forum today. The first one is RISE. Okay, religious, innovation, skill, and entrepreneur. Second one is good salary, and the third one, of course, the Ferrari of the crane. Okay. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the closing segment of this session, let us now revisit the results of our poll. So, may I invite the technical team to display the poll results on the screen? Yes. So we have the result for the poll. So let me read again the question. What are the most important factors in making Tvet the first choice for students? So I believe that most of the participants in the hall is choosing salary out of their interest. All right, so most of the participants chose higher salary and industry recognition. So for that, thank you again to everyone who participated. So to gain further insights, I would like to invite each of our panelists to share their brief reflections on the poll out.
Okay, I pass. What is your comment on this? Sorry, MCS, please.
So, okay, thank you. If you can see that perception or voting from the floor, we can see the last one is nowadays and previous, we always said that Tvet is a second option, the last alternative for our for to enroll on the Tvet. But we can see that now with the promotion, with the rebranding, regeneration of our Tvet, we can see that this perception is come to the last option of our student, meaning that the first one, the first option is Tvet is much more driven by the perception of receptive from the our people and our young and parents. And for me, there are two significant things. Number one is a higher salary, and the second thing is industry links. But as I mentioned that, when come to the curriculum development, come to Tvet area, come to the drive by the floor, we can see that the number one is salary. But if we want to the much more on the driven by the salary, we need to create a standard that drive by the industry, the acceptance by industry. So I think both should be a very seamless articulation between higher salary and also driven by the match the industry needs. So for me, this vote indicate that more driven industry and also much more needed by the people that we need to produce a very competent and very high salary for our student. This is the outcome, the ultimate outcome for our student. Thank you.
Any comment from Mr. Raymond? No. Mr. Dosi? Yeah?
I just give an example of I agree totally what is just saying now. No, just an example. For example, in Italy we have a huge number of production sites, no, and in any one, because the welding is our most important part, no, we don't find welder, and honestly we don't find any welders there, and it's very difficult, no. And a good welder now in our Italian factories, no, they can have very high salary, because we pay the competence on this, because we don't find them the really around, and this is a very big problem we face everywhere. So it's really very important to follow this. Yes, thank you.
So thank you thank you to our panelists for your valuable perspective on the audience's views. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we will now take a couple of questions from our QR. So allow me, I'm going to choose 2 questions. Okay? Right? So allow me to read the first question. Okay? This is open to all the panelists. So the first one, what will the job pattern be like in the next 10 years? I repeat, what will the job pattern be like in the next 10 years?
Ada komen? Salary operate of trade. Any comment? Any?
I just involved in this high growth, high value development for the industry and also for the Putra 35. So we can see that in this pattern for 10 years, maybe 20 years or 25 years, and discussing a lot session with the industry, now is digital technologies. So AI, we cannot deny, will take place, but it not disrupt the job function of current development of this technology. So you can see that we cannot only rely on the one, we call that master skill set, one master skill set. We need to have a if you were taking a mechanical program, electrical program, you need to have well-versed fluency in the digital technology as well. So this is kind of technology that we can see the movement for the future for the next 20, 35 years. So this kind of technology must be embedded in our curriculum and must be well-versed for our student, outcome of our student. So I think for me, the patterns, maybe 10 years, we can see the replacement of the technology of AI, but instead of the core value of the whatever technology we are having right now, like mechanical, automotive, electrical, even though electrical or welding, we have 3.0, 3.1, or we have NDT, but the most important part is we need to embed with the digital technology, the skill set of the digital fluency in that particular AI, big data, IoT, analytical. So this is engagement or association with all this current technology that we need to enhance in our current ecosystem and also to skill in our student as well.
Thank you, Rutamazan. Yes. Now I'm not the MC anymore. Please. Any comment?
No other comment? You have comment?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting period we go into with the whole AI era. I'm sure it will be quite disruptive in many ways, but I cannot predict exactly what will happen. So, but I think, of course, there's all this fascination about the digital, but end of the day, we still need to be able to use our hands. So I think the vocational education is still very important.
All right, thank you, Mr. Raymond. Mr. Michele?
Sorry, I just to want to, as I always lateral think is no, we now when we in the international meeting we have every week with all our team is a long time that we cannot discuss more about the 10 years. I remember in the 90 years we budget 5 years, 10 years. Now every year, one of the mainstream of our group need to change the strategy every year. So you don't know what to say, what you face because the world is very fast. But it's true that is very fast in the transformation. I don't want to change. I don't like the word change, man. Changement is not, I don't like it. Transformation is something that I like. We need to transform our factory, our strategy, our idea every time, very faster than before, of course. But it's true that our transformation is a word that taking care of what you have. And you know, we Italian, we are not inventors, we are innovators. It's different, no? Inventors, there is an R&D that's searching for something that doesn't exist. Innovator is something that you innovated that started to exist first, and after you start to innovate, basically. And in this transformation that we cannot budget 10 years, but we can budget also 2 years already change. This transformation is based on our culture, of our asset, of our skill, of our knowledge. This is the most important part of it. We can transform what we have. We don't change, we transform. I'm not afraid of change, man. I'm afraid to transform before my competitors. Transform before them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michele Dossi, right, for any insightful answers. You need one more question from me? Okay, one more question. Okay, one last question. Okay. All right. So, what concrete measures can industry and Tvet institutions take to ensure that Tvet graduates receive salaries commensurate with their qualification? Again, salary.
Not very clear. Dr. Razali, is
Okay,
it possible for you to? Yes.
What concrete measures can industry and Tvet institution take to ensure that Tvet graduates receive salaries commensurate with their qualification?
The countermeasures between, yes.
The concrete measure. Salary and qualification.
Over to you, anyway, the panels. Any comment? Yes. Okay, Mr. Dosi first. Yeah, okay.
To understand properly the question, no? But if I understand well, okay, I can think, I can say that is really very parallel the two. Yes, can of course, because otherwise, of course, the market is don't give us the opportunity, okay, to increase, okay, the salaries together with the skill or together with the improvement, okay. But in any case, let me say that's normally, no, the two development they run together, okay. They run and they help together in a certain sense. They help together. But of course, it's a big challenge. Of course, it's a big challenge because the worldwide market now and the global market give us many complications in this moment, of course, also. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. So thank you all panelists for your insights and very wonderful answers. Okay, so distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us give the panelists and moderator a big round of applause. So we would like to invite all panelists and the moderator for a group photo on the stage. May we have the photographer to take the photo, please? Okay, thank you, gentlemen, and you may now return to your seat. So to capture these special moments with all the participants, I would like to invite again the photographers to come on stage for a photo opportunity. Smile for the camera. All right, thank you everyone. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this session today, discussion has clearly reaffirmed one key message. Tvet is not an alternative pathway, but a strategic driver of nation building and economic transformation. On that note, once again, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to our moderator, panelists, and all participants for making this session impactful and meaningful. Last but not least, wishing a happy 60 years anniversary of MARA. Till then, thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.